Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sarah Jones. This is another fixture in our Sunday Minisode series where I talk to you about your ghost stories. For this Minisode, I got to speak to Anne on vacation all the way in Indonesia. An awesome world traveler and one hell of a senior portrait taker, Anne told the story of a haunting she experienced while staying in the West End of Brisbane, Australia. Here's the call. Stop right now. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me well or not super well?
Yeah.
Where are you right now?
I am in the country of Indonesia, the island of Bali, the neighborhood of Canggu.
And what are you doing there? That's
Enjoying
so
life.
awesome. Are you just really on vacation?
I'm always doing work along the way, but
Yeah.
if you can have a life that allows you to work and vacation, it's nice. Although there are also some good benefits to like just working and then just going on vacation.
Yeah.
So sometimes working while vacationing is challenging,
I'm
like
sure.
when you have connection issues.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, this whole year actually, I'm traveling. So we like are renting out our apartment in New York for the year, and Alex and I are living between a few different places. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff, and being here in Bali is kind of just for us both a treat. But we also do some work while we're here. So
Oh my gosh. Well, that is so awesome. And Alex is your husband.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So for listeners, Anne is who I'm speaking to right now. And you took my senior pictures from high school, didn't you?
Yes, and actually, I went back to I saw that blog post on my Anne Ruthven blog spot, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like you were fierce then, and you've just become more fierce over time." And I think I wrote something like, "You insisted didn't take your pictures. You weren't going to take pictures, or something like that at that time."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Whoa, this girl knows what she wants."
Right. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to do them unless they're creative. And then I saw this stuff that you did and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
And there were some ones in there that I was like, "Oh, she was such a baby then," but there was definitely hints of like the interest in the darker side of things, and kind of all of that. And I was like, oh yeah, it was there still even then.
Aw, that's so cute. Yeah, that was really fun. Well, yeah, okay. So you are in a completely different country. I can't even imagine what your ghost story, where it's going to even take place or what it's going to be about. Take me on a ride. Take me with you.
Okay, so let's see. Working on my storytelling skills here. 2012, we actually did something like what we're doing right now. We decided we were just going to take off for a long period of time and live in other places and travel. And we moved to Australia. And we had stayed in a few Airbnbs to find like an Airbnb owner that we might be able to live with for a while, because the choices were either like you book for like up to a month with Airbnb, or you get like a lease, which required us to sign for 6 months or no less than that. And we needed 5 months. So we were testing out different Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And also to like see if the relationship was good with the owner, to see if, it was a good location, etc. Anyway, so we found ourselves in the West End of Brisbane, Australia. And Brisbane is like a really awesome city. It's got San Diego weather, and like just it's beautiful, and people are lovely. And we moved into what was like an old Queenslander style house. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like a house made of wood on stilts. So
Okay.
the underground is kind of open, and then you walk up the stairs, and then the living is on the second level. That way it's harder for bugs to get in, but the windows are all open to the like elements. Like there's barely even screens on the windows.
Oh yeah, because the bugs in Australia are like nuts, right? Like
they're not too bad. They're not too bad. I mean, like,
oh
but that's why they're all on stilts, because that way it's just harder. So like geckos would come in and out of the house, but like,
cute.
you know,
I like geckos.
We didn't have too many other bugs. So anyway, so we're living in this house, and I'm like, wow, this architecture is really interesting, and there's so much craftsmanship in it. Like all the wood details, you could tell somebody put a lot of time and a lot of work into it. There was like stained glass elements, and I just kind of fell in love with the house and the structure of the house. But then like started having weird feelings, like just interesting, weird feelings.
Okay.
that were like, there's just something interesting. Like, and it's just more than just looking at the beauty of the craftsmanship.
Yeah.
So one day I was, so the person that we were living with was an acupuncturist, still is, but not in the same house. And so she ran her practice kind of out of the front of the house. So she would bring clients into like the front rooms where they would have their treatment room for acupuncture. And then we lived in the back of the house, and you could kind of separate the house by its internal middle kind of living room. 2 rooms in the front were practice rooms, and then 2 rooms in the back were bedrooms and kitchen and all of that. So, but there was only 1 bathroom. So clients and us shared the bathroom.
Oh.
So I was in the bathroom one day, and like just, finishing up in the bathroom, looking in the mirror. And then I see this space behind me, and I was like, what? Did one of our clients like try to walk in the door? Like, what? While I'm like looking at the mirror, finishing up, washing my hands. And I look behind me, and there's nothing there. And I look back in the mirror, and there's nothing there. And I was like, what the heck was that? And I like look outside in the living room, and there's nobody there. And then I ask Nikki, who was our Airbnb host, I was like, Nikki, did you have a client in here? Like a male client? And she was like, nope, did not. I was like, well, that was weird. And it was
that's like the worst.
Me,
That like reminds me of every horror movie where they like look in the mirror and there's nothing, and they look back and something's there. I hate it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And you can try to think, like, in that moment, I was like, did I just imagine that? Because that's how you feel, right? You feel like, did I just imagine that? But that's just where it starts.
Oh God. Okay. I like it.
So at that point, I'm still just thinking, I don't know, maybe I just like figment of my imagination or something.
Yeah.
And then the next time something really odd happened, I was doing laundry if we were in Michigan, it would be in the basement, but it's no basement. It's like the first level where you meet the ground, and it's under the house, but it's actually open to the elements.
Yeah.
And and the air in Australia in January, February is so dry that nobody has dryers. They just don't even use dryers. They use washers. And then you put it on the line on a lovely Hills hoist, which is a special Australian kind of like laundry holder.
Mm-hmm.
And it dries in like 30 minutes. So it's faster than having a dryer.
Is it really like
way
windy
faster than
there
having
or something?
Not very. No. It's just so dry and hot.
I see.
Like,
okay.
Yeah. But it like it will dry that laundry super fast. Anyway, so I'm doing laundry, pulling stuff out of the washer, getting ready to put it in the basket, move it over to the clothesline. And as I'm doing this, I feel my hair being stuck to the side. And I was like, oh, did Alex come down the stairs? And I turn around hoping to see Alex. And I instead see this tiny little, like, grapefruit size cloud, very dense little ball of mist. And I'm just like staring at it, like, what am I staring at?
Yeah.
Just
whoa.
Like this tiny little cloud, and then it just disappears. It like dissolves. And I was like, whoa,
no.
Whoa, what? That couldn't be that's not my breath. It's not cold enough for that to be my breath.
Yeah.
Like, it was like if what you would experience in winter is like your breath coming out, but in a very formed kind of spherical shape, not like
Oh, yeah,
your breath. And I was like, how is that even physically possible? Like that's just seems really physically impossible.
yeah.
And then because I felt my hair being pulled to the side and it was right around the back of my neck, around that area, and I was
Mm.
expecting to see Alex. I was like so creeped out. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, what just so I like left the laundry and I like went up and I was like, Alex, I don't know what just happened. You weren't down there, right? You weren't like playing tricks on me. And he was like, no, just up here, on my computer. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I don't know what just happened. That was really, really weird. And and then there was more.
Oh my God.
As if that's enough.
Well, what's weird
And
about that too
so
is like that is such a different, like to me, that sounds like an orb, but the way you described it was different than I've ever heard someone describe seeing an orb, Like it wasn't light. It was
yeah,
like a cloud, like vapor.
it was like and that to me was also surprising because I bust people's orbs photos all day long. Like
Oh yeah,
I'm
me
in
too.
a few,
Like lint,
like group.
lights. Like dust.
And it's one of those things. It's like as a professional photographer, like I could
Oh,
recreate
right.
this on the spot for you right now.
Totally. Oh yeah. I'm not even a professional photographer. And even I'm always like, like that could be
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Like you can recreate a lot of things with your phone. You can be like, oh, just point your phone into the sun and then swirl it around. You'll see orbs all the time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But when people physically see them in person, that's, its own thing.
Yes. So that was really odd. So now we're at two incidents that are just odd and kind of like happening behind my head, which is also odd.
Yeah.
And then I was doing laundry another day and started to hear like a radio, like the radio static. Yeah, radio / TV static, like a speaker going, like crackling, like trying to catch signal. And I'm trying to figure out where this sound is coming from because it's unusual. There's not really anything, there's not a radio or anything downstairs. And I find there's like a little speaker that's been installed up in the corner of the house. And it looks like it's an intercom system, like maybe an intercom system had been installed a long time ago. So they could hear somebody at the door while they're working downstairs. They could call up to somebody. And anyway,
sure.
So it looks like it's a built-in intercom system.
Yeah.
And so then I try to find where, and it sounds like it's coming from the speaker. And so I try to find where the speaker goes to, like what is it connected to that might be left on or that might be turned on or something. And I follow the wires coming out of the speaker and then come to a place where they are cut. They are not connected to anything.
Oh.
And the sound, like, it dissolves at that point. Like I don't hear the sound anymore. And I was like,
no,
that's weird.
Yeah. Hate it.
Weird. So after like a few of these incidents, I start to meet the neighbors while I'm like hanging up clothes because this is something apparently, I mean, I'm living at a carry-on suitcase. So I basically have like a week of clothes. I'm doing clothes like
all
every week.
Yeah.
And, and so the neighbor starts chatting me up and I'm like, hey, I have a question for you. Like, what do you know about the previous owner or the person who made the house or anything? And he's like, oh, yeah. So the last guy who lived here actually died here. And he kind of went a little crazy at the end of his life. And but he was a woodworker and he actually built the house. And so he's telling me all these stories about the previous owner who built the house, woodworker, had a wood shop down in the basement. And, if he was a little crazy at the end of his life, maybe he didn't realize he was dead. I don't know.
Wait,
that's, like the typical way people go with those things.
Did he have like syphilis or something? Like, what did he mean little crazy at the end?
I think like maybe dementia
Oh, like
or
he got old.
old, old and just maybe, refused to deal with end of life, or he didn't say that he had a disease or anything like that. He just kind of said he went a little
Cuckoo.
loopy, and
Yeah.
he said that they buried him and like in a tree across the yard in the front of the house. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he's,
Oh my
there's a
God.
good chance that he could be lingering
Wait,
around.
you do mean that they buried him under a tree, right? Or they actually buried him in the tree?
Like around the tree, like ashes or something,
Oh,
not
I
like,
see.
I don't think like full body buried. I think like
Oh,
they cremated him and
it wasn't
like
like, yeah.
spread his ashes around. Yeah, because I think his niece was managing the property as a rental, basically. So we were renting from somebody who was renting, and there was like a rent to own option, but you know, she was still feeling it out whether she could have her practice there or not. And
Yeah.
anyways, so it's a very, very popular area, very expensive area to live in Brisbane. And there were a couple other incidents. Like there was one night where I woke up, of course it's like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever,
Yeah.
and you hear the sound of like woodworking, but our neighbor to the house on the left was a woodworker. So it was also highly possible that he was working in his wood shop later at night. And so the next morning, I just asked, I was like, wow, you were up really late working in your shop, huh? And he was like, nope, wasn't working in my wood shop. I was like,
No.
oh,
You're
that's
like,
weird.
oh, I hate it. Great. um, wait, was it only you who experienced this, or did your husband or anyone else experience anything in the house too?
So apparently I was the only one who experienced these things. And there was like one other incident where like the acupuncturist, it was May, which is when it starts to get a little chilly. And by chilly, I mean like 60 degrees
Nice.
in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And so she,
I hate winter, so that's
got,
love it.
oh, well, then it's good that you moved to LA, huh?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so yeah, she got like a little electric stove, or like no electric like heater that looked like a little fireplace. And I started having super levels of paranoia, like feelings of paranoia about this, that it was going to burn the house down. And then like I was led by geckos to look at places where polyurethane had been tested on the house, and like checking for fire proofness,
Wait,
all
what?
sorts
Led
of
by
weird stuff.
geckos?
Yes, so geckos, it was so weird. It was so weird. I was like having all this paranoia, and then like this gecko caught my attention in a really weird way. It was like clicking, but not just clicking and then moving on. It was like clicking, clicking, clicking. It was like annoying. I was like trying to get. I was like, okay, you're just annoying now. You need to leave because you're
Yeah.
just being annoying. And kind of like because I was looking at it, it chased to a point where there was polyurethane testing on the wall. Like somebody had brushed different types of polyurethane on
Uh-huh.
like a pillar underneath the house,
Hey, wait, what does that
and looked like they
mean?
had tested.
What does that
So like
test for?
it's a protectant for the wood
Oh,
because
okay.
it's a wood house,
Right, right.
right? And so it like protects the wood from wearing down faster, or protects the wood from being, like if you drop a candle, hopefully if the polyurethane is good and thick and working, it will take minutes, or, maybe even an hour if it's really strong or multi-layered polyurethane, for that candle to actually burn the wood.
Okay,
Like
so it,
maybe it
it
will melt the
protects against
polyurethane before it burns the
fire.
wood.
Okay, I see.
Against fire, but also wear and tear. Like when you have a shiny wood table, like they've placed a layer of polyurethane on it to help preserve, the wood. It's like what you kind of, it's just a protectant. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
For all sorts of things.
Well, that totally, I
Yeah.
mean,
So
it sounds like where you're going with it is that this guy is like this woodworker And he starts getting freaked out because, like, this little stove is brought into his wood house. And maybe he was like kind of
Yeah, that's what it feels
channeling
like.
you. Yeah.
That's what it feels like. And so like I'm like, I logically know that this electric thing is not going to hurt anything.
Right.
But at an emotional level, I'm feeling a very heightened paranoia and anxiety that is, to me, very unnatural for who
Yeah.
I am, which is very chill.
Yeah.
And so, and it wasn't I didn't make the connection that this might be something that might be attached to him or his emotion or his feeling until like kind of found the testing place with the polyurethane and all this. And of course, I was telling the home, the acupuncturist, and she was like, "What are you worried about?" Like, just, I was
Yeah.
like, "I don't actually know what I'm worried about." I feel like I'm
Right.
just so worried. And yeah, so that was a thing to deal with because I
Well, and
I was
also
having all these
like
really heightened worries.
what's kind of, I'm like, unless it happened when you were like sleeping or something, for the acupuncturist, it's like if that place burned down, she loses everything. If it burned down, you just lose like a week's worth of clothes. Like,
Yeah,
what's the difference?
yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
that's interesting.
everything was fine. It didn't look like anything was gonna happen, but it was one
Right.
of those moments where I was like, "Oh, this actually may not be my emotion. This may actually be like something else. Like, but I'm experiencing it and I'm feeling it to this heightened degree. Um, and nobody else is. Everybody else is like, why are you like so worried about this?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Man, that's wild. It makes me wonder like how often, I mean, there's definitely times that I feel anxious for no reason. I wonder if there's ever just energy passing through us that we're just like, you know, we're just off our game for whatever reason, or wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or you know what I mean? Like these things that happen to everyone where you're just like, I don't know why, but today I'm just in a shitty mood. Like I'm just irritated. I wonder how often like that's actually just transferred energy. Like when you put it that way, it seems like plausible.
Yeah, I think about like the transfer of energy from just you're in a great mood in your car, and then suddenly somebody comes up behind you and is honking incessantly at you, and now you feel angry,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
that wasn't your anger. That's somebody passing their anger onto you,
Yeah.
and, and us feeling like, "Fuck you." Sorry,
Right.
oops, you might
No.
have to bleep
Oh,
that.
no. This
Like,
is an explicit podcast. Don't worry. You're fine.
and like that energy wasn't yours to begin with, but now you're bearing the emotional weight of somebody else's lack of preparation or lack of timing or whatever it is that they are
Right.
spewing out onto the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's possible. I think it's
Because it's
possible to
really,
transfer
yeah, it's like,
energy.
it's really no different. It's just that when we experience that, like when we have, if someone's like honking at you or whatever it is, you just know where to place the blame on it, Like your mood changes, but you're
Yeah.
able to go, oh, it's because this asshole was behind me. Like, but I've totally had days that I can't describe why I feel a certain way, you know? And when you were talking about
Yeah.
your anxiety about it, that you're like, it felt like these emotions weren't mine. I feel like it's so common that we say that, like you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And there are days that just happens,
Hmm.
that I'm like, I don't know what it is, but everything's
Hmm.
annoying me, or, I'm just upset, or, and like as a girl, you're like, am I on my period? Like what, like
Yeah, is it
what's
hormonal?
happening? Like,
Hmm.
am I just a female? So this shit just happens. I don't know. But like, but I wonder, like I've never really thought about it that way. And I'm pretty sure this is not the first story I've heard of like a displaced emotion from a spirit. But it really makes you think
Hmm.
about like how many experiences do we have collectively as human beings that are paranormal, but we just don't realize it because, we just never really placed any blame on it. We're just like, oh, or I'm just in an awesome mood today. I don't know what it is. I didn't work out. I didn't get anything done. Like,
Life is just amazing.
but I just feel great. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like a chicken or the egg thing. Who knows?
Yeah.
And some of that
I
obviously is
think
like
that's why the
biochemistry.
Buddhists are like, yeah. I think it could be all of those things. And I think the more like deeper I've gone into like meditation and Reiki, the more I understand what comes from me and
Okay.
what passes through me.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of self-observation. It's a lot of being patient with your feeling and not judging it as good or bad and just feeling it. Like there was a guy I was on this bus in Brisbane also, and this is like where my sensitivity opened up really big, and it was all kind of happening simultaneously. And I'm sitting on the bus, happy day, everything's good. The buses are great in Brisbane. Everybody uses them. Totally safe public transportation, not the sketchy kind. And suddenly, uh, I like this guy comes on, nothing looks wrong with him, everything's fine. He's like the only one who gets on at this stop. And then within like a minute or two, I start feeling really sad and like really depressed and really low. And I'm like, whoa, something just came on heavy. And I'm like, what am I dealing with right now? Like, what is this emotion? I'm just trying to observe it. I'm not trying to, I mean, I'm also trying to understand it, but I'm also like,
Yeah.
whoa, that just came on suddenly. That's weird.
But it's like you're not
And then
trying to
this guy
change
gets
it
off.
or control it or judge it. Like it's just, oh, this is
Yeah.
okay.
Just like weird, right?
Mhm.
Guy gets off, and within like a minute or two, the feeling lifts and I don't feel it anymore. And I'm like back to my happy self. And that was like one of the first moments I realized people might like, there may be emotion that travels with people that we can't see. But
Mhm.
if we have sensitivities, and I do think it's possible not to have sensitivities. I've certainly been in places in my own life where I was not sensitive.
Mhm.
So my own sensitivity has changed over time. I think
Yeah.
it's possible to change.
Mhm.
So in that moment, I was like, oh, maybe that feeling was traveling with that guy because he is the only thing that has changed in this bus, like other than the scenery, right? Like
Yeah.
he was the only thing that changed and that came and went with that feeling. And that is weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your call, Anne. It was so great to talk to you and explore some ideas about the unknown and the other side. Do you have a ghost story that you want to share on Laughing in the Dark? Write to us and let us know. Send in your story to litdarkpodcast@gmail.com. We may want to feature you on the show. Thanks so much for listening.